Hey, what's up, everybody? Sorry for being
Hey,
Mr. Stop the FOMO here. Had a couple technical issues like we all can have. How you doing, FOMO?
that's right.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, buddy?
Good. It was a late night last night finishing up my TCL XL video. So I got to mute this. I always do that. Every time I turn it on the live stream, then starts and blares on my speakers.
Oh,
But
I
anyways,
know.
yeah. So it's just crazy week, man. Got the Sony A80J price dropping $1,000 online and blowing up my whole schedule, thinking I was going to do an A90J versus the G1 video, but I thought I should get the C1 versus the A80J video done first because, this is the time to buy right now. We're not going to see prices. I mean, that's a low price, isn't it?
So this is the thing. So Sony has always priced themselves a few hundred above LG for inexplicable reasons, right? They're just so similar. And given that recently LG has nailed down gaming, I suspect that Sony recognizes that people are making that decision based on the VRR alone. They're like, okay, we're not going to get VRR out until winter at earliest. And between now and winter, people aren't going to wait. They're buying. And the last thing we want to do is price ourselves above the C1. So
Yeah.
consumers aren't stupid. They're doing the research. They're listening to you. They're listening to me and everyone else on YouTube. So, yeah, I'm wondering why it took them so long, basically.
Yeah. It's interesting that that Sony's listening to them, though, because they're like, hey, I got to do this. And what's up to everybody watching? How you guys doing? Thanks for checking in with us. Make sure you guys ask any questions you need to answer. We'll try to get going on that. And we're going to go over some things here real quick. Both of us have a little bit of info to go over, and then we'll get to some of the super chats and all that stuff too. Whoops,
Absolutely.
there. Well, I accidentally hit that one, so there we go.
Oh, hey, keep it classy. How's it going?
What's up, man? In my C1 A80J for gaming, LG for performance, smoothness, connectivity, features, and competitive edge. Sony for better image and graphics. Fair enough. I was trying to get it. I was going to try to get it in game mode, and I ended up getting a PowerPoint and stuff, but it wasn't in game mode. It was in HDR. My Apple TV, when it's on that splitter, sometimes is finicky when I do Dolby Vision. So I got, HDR. And one thing that I didn't, let me add this in here real quick.
Yeah.
One thing that I didn't get in, there we go. Let's see. Is that, all right, get that out of there. I called it Beta Dog because we're talking about some of the, maybe second best TVs out there, but not that they can't be top TVs, but, I had to, I always try to find something cool looking in the background.
Oh, I like that. That's
cool. Yeah,
I like that.
If I would have had a little more time, I would have gotten my dog on there. But we're talking about discounted OLEDs. We're talking about a couple competitive QLEDs that FOMO's going to talk about. Oh, here's the slides. And so you're going to go over the Hisense and the Samsung. And then, I'm going to touch on the TCL XL experience that I had. And then the other thing that I didn't put on there was that I had the Magician AV come over and calibrate my 4 TVs. So now we're getting exciting for the old OLED battle.
Nice.
Got them all to the same white point. And he kind of showed me some things, good stuff. It wasn't like overly complicated. We just wanted to give him, put it into a fair fight atmosphere where all the white points were, at the same spot, starting point, and then go from there. So it's pretty cool.
Did it help with the green push that we mentioned on the last live stream? Did that calibration help the green push on some of the TVs you had, or did it change anything?
Well, it was a couple things. There was some pink in them, so like some of that pink we were able to get rid of, and it was interesting to see them go from before calibration to after calibration and pop them back and forth. He was in the LG menus where you can go into the secret menus and do it that way, where it's a little easier for them. But one thing we noticed is it was pushing a lot of blue. So I'm not sure about the green, but definitely blue. And so we pulled that out. And so I haven't gotten to look at it a ton, but some of the slides that I'll show in a minute, we can look at the different slides and see what you think, because I have the C1 and the A80J. So let me just click on that real quick. And I'm going to do this real quick. TechMed, Rainer Richter, thanks, man. Super sticker 10. Appreciate that, man. Always supportive. I kind of want to
Always.
find out where TechMed Rainer Richter lives. Where is he coming from? I think it's a he. I'm assuming it's a he. Most of my people are dudes. There's like 95% dudes. So, but yeah, appreciate it, TechMed Rainer Richter. Let me get that off the screen so I can show this. So I'm wondering if anyone wants to see these slides. Let me see if I got any takers for that. Let me get them on here. All right. So, oh, that's the wrong one. So I got this Mitchell's versus the Machine movie. It's
I love that movie. I just saw it with my kids over the weekend.
Such a good movie. It's one of the best animated movies I've ever seen, to be honest. And it got a really high rated. It got like an 8.1 on IMDb. But this is the C1 and the A80J. I don't know if people can guess which is which. But some of the slides, it's hard to tell which one's better. I mean, it's like back and forth.
Dude, it looks the same to me, man.
Yeah, they're
which is
really
a good thing, right?
Yeah, they're really close. So if people are sitting there like, which one is which? To me, it looks like the top one might have a little bit more white around the Mitchells, but you know, it's tough to say. The top one, let's see if someone can guess. We'll see if they guess first. I'm going to give it let's give it another slide here. See if they can guess. There's another one from the same movie. I forgot to turn my phone on silent, so I apologize. All right, there we go. People are trying to guess. I don't know if they're, let's see. I got to get in the comments. It's got 5 different screens up. It's always tough here. All right, so top looks brighter. People saying C1 on top. People say C1 on the bottom. The actual, I'll tell them. Oh, there we go, from Essen, Germany. Thanks, TechMed Rainer Richter. And yeah, as a dude from Germany, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. It's good to know. So the answer is, wait, you know what? My mic is like way over there. Can you even hear me? Is that better?
Oh,
can you hear me better now?
You're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
That mic has like an auto leveler. So the top one is actually the C1 and the bottom one is the A80J. Now, I think in the HDR mode, you have access to increase the tone mapping on the LG where you don't have that on Dolby Vision. Right. So I was able to have tone mapping on FOMO. So the top one has tone mapping. The bottom one was brightness preferred as well for the A80J. So with the tone mapping on HDR for the C1, it gets a little brighter, obviously. But if you're in Dolby Vision, you can't get that. Then the A80J is a little brighter. So they're pretty close, though. And then here, let's see. This is another one. And this one, yeah, it does look like the top one's a little brighter to me. It looked almost like the Sony on the bottom had more detail. Like in this one, you can see, I can see it on my screen. It's probably hard for everyone to see at home. The bottom one has a little more detail. The highlights are a little bit blown out in the LG, but that could just be because of the exposure of the camera. So not necessarily a huge takeaway. It did look like there's a little bit more color volume in the LG on top too. What do you think about this one here? Can you see that? Like the hood of the car is a little bit more colorful.
It's really hard. And you said it, you nailed it. You could calibrate it to make adjustments for whatever its shortcoming, but then of course it changes something else. But someone said something before, and I forgot who it was. If you have to squint between 2 TVs, that means the 2 TVs are too close, right? And that's one of the wonderful things about this year is people are squinting and driving really close to really see the difference. And I understand when it's a couple $100, that makes a huge difference. But when it's literally $2 to $3, look at the features that you want. You either like Google TV or you like WebOS, right? Or you like the gaming features.
I like this. We can just call him Rainer now. There you go.
Hey, Rainer. That makes it easy. Thanks, buddy.
Makes it real easy. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. That actually makes it a lot easier for us too. Like a lot. So we just, we're trying to be respectful and make sure we try to get people's names right. So let me get this real quick here. FYI, I'm a local Best Buy in LA said that my local Best Buy said that they do calibration. So from what I had heard, they were going to not do calibration any longer. I don't, I'll take your word for it in LA. but I've gotten reports from people all across the country that said that they're not doing it any longer. So appreciate the super chat. Get those while you can. If you're a part of the Geek Squad, you get it for $50.
Yep.
Get that done while you can, because if they end up stopping, then you're going to be out of luck. So I appreciate that. And then Christopher Brennan, my budget for a new TV, $2,500. Should I buy the 65-inch C10 with the 5-year, or skip the warranty and get the C1? Main use will be the PS5 and the X Series X and streaming apps. What do you think about that? It's starting to. I mean, is it still the same thing? I guess, right?
It looks like, yeah. Well, you know what's interesting is a lot of reviews, and I'm talking about just various reviewers. Well, the most recent one, the Artings review on the C1, if I didn't know better, after watching the C1 review, I would conclude that the C10 is their preference. The way they reviewed it, it was so close, but the C10 appears to be a great TV that actually may beat the C1 in one or two things. So that's why I said to Christopher, hey, you know, if you're not pixel peeping, right, you're not really digging into the details, and you don't care about the game bar or the game optimizer, and you're just a casual console gamer, I think the C10 plus a 5-year warranty, spot on, because that takes care of anything. I do love the Geek Squad OLED warranty. It is the best in the business. They will replace it, not just if it is running not the way you expected it, but some accidents as well. And talk to Geek Squad, and they'll give you a full extensive list of what it covers. So I'm a big fan of the warranty if it ends up costing you the same. And given the C1 and C10 are nearly identical, and if Artings is to be believed, they are identical. I don't know. I mean, is it identical? I don't have both. I only have the C10, which I think is great. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much spot on. I tell you what, I am kind of annoyed with this LG channel stuff. None of the channels work unless you download the Pluto app. So like none of them work. So I'm sitting here back trying to figure out a channel to put on, and they don't work. Anyways, I would say it's still probably a better deal to get the C10, but I also like the C1 a little better. It seems mine's brighter. It seems like mine's brighter, and I just like the I think it's a little better processor. It looks like it's processing and upscaling a little better, in my opinion. But if I had to choose, I would probably take the C10 with the 5-year warranty. Although some people that work at those stores just say, like, you know, skip the warranty because it's not going to happen. The burn-in is just, you know, most people don't get that burn-in, and people complain about it or they talk about it online. But normally it's temporary image retention and things like that. You're not getting actual burn-in. So I hope that helps answer your question, bud. It's still a tough decision. You know, if you have a little time, the C1 will get down there in price too, you know. So looks like the prices are moving faster than they were before. Hey, did you want to go over some of the stuff on the QN90A and the Hisense?
Yeah, sure. So today I was shooting settings and stuff because people want to know what the best settings are for the U8G. And I could say generally, this thing out of the box isn't bad. It's not as inaccurate as the H9F and H9G. As a matter of fact, the model that I have, it's not calibrated, sent directly from Hisense. All they did was do a QC to make sure it actually works, but there was no calibration. It's typical of what you'll get out of a Hisense U8G, and it was pretty good. So here's what's interesting when comparing it to the QN90A. Obviously, the QN90A is calibrated, but what keeps on separating the two is definitely the QN90A has deeper blacks when you're talking black bars, but between the black bars, it's crazy. The U8G has better contrast, better color detail within bright specular highlights. And I'll show examples in my video tomorrow. But at the end of the day, I realize why this is happening with the QN90A. It's that ultra wide viewing angle. I am certain of it because I'm losing resolution. This is not, you know, pushing EOTF too high or it's too bright. Forget anything related to gamma or brightness. This is pure resolution. I'm losing pixels. It's very soft. And obviously, you're saying, wait, are you zooming in? Well, I'm zooming in to show you guys, but from 6 feet away, you see the difference. And I'll show you guys the demo tomorrow. But so QN90A, I see what they did. It helps them with wide viewing angle. So if you're at 45 degrees, yeah, it's a little bit better. But if you're at straight on in front and you're not going to sit on the side of the couch, man, U8G, they didn't have to waste money on extra wide viewing angle, and it looks sharper. And it's a 4K. So
And it's
No,
it's
great
significantly
choices.
less expensive, right?
Oh, half the price, 1,300 as soon as it goes on sale or is available. Is it available yet? I was looking on Amazon. I haven't seen it yet.
I'm not certain. I had my hands full with the TCL, so I didn't get an opportunity yet to
The
like
TCL.
literally had my hands full. Like 4 of us had our hands full. That is a big TV.
Did it fall over? Did it crush any
No,
small
no,
animals?
didn't crush any animals. No, not like the 8080J. I don't have any dramatic pictures, but I will say, people check my video out. It was more of an experience and installation. I found it a little difficult to do the typical review on it because I didn't have the depth in my room to like get back and just sit and look at it all the time. But we enjoyed it. As we talked, I talked to you about this yesterday after the embargo, of course, that it had, it has 180 dimming zones for an 85-inch TV. So what do you think about that? 180 dimming zones for an 85-inch TV of 2021.
So,
and no 2.1,
yeah.
two
What we
things.
know today, and it is what it is, the more dimming zones you have, the better your control of blooming. And then if you don't have enough dimming zones, you have to make a decision. Do you lift the blacks to avoid blooming? But then everything is lifted. And at 85 inches, 180 dimming zones, to me, it's just barely enough. I know you're going to have lifted blacks. So I think this is very similar to the 4K 75-inch R625 before it went mini LED. At 8K, you're going to have 8K, 85 inches. If you're sitting up close and it's in a dark room, the dimming, the slightly dimmer brightness won't be an issue, I don't think. And I don't think it has a wide viewing angle, so you're going to enjoy all 8K pixels. It's hard for me to make a judgment call because, one, I've never had an 85-inch 8K before, because I think where the real value is, or where the real decision is, at 8K, 8K 85-inch, 4K 85-inch, from your distance, does that resolution, is it visible? And if it is, then suddenly 85-inch 8K is the way to go. But you know what that means? I think you have to get an 85-inch 4K TV, Brad, to really do this justice.
Yeah, I definitely do. It's definitely hard with it's definitely hard to look at it and judge it because I've been doing a lot of OLED and a lot of 65-inch and the 55-inch TVs. So definitely true on that. And but yeah, I mean, it was definitely better during the daytime, and it was also good. It's a bright TV. It has good brightness. And the kids enjoyed it for the various things that they were messing around with it too. So, it's right now, I think it's a little expensive right off the gate at $3,000.
Right.
But I think, the pricing on every TV comes down. And so we'll see what happens, but definitely a big TV. We were definitely pretty close to it we were about 8 feet away or so. And it was a big experience. My wife was like, so you really want to get an 83-inch A90J? Like, this is how close you want to sit to this TV. She said. It was pretty funny having it be so close. Let me get a couple of these questions on here. We got Dana. Appreciate all the info you provide. Waiting for my 77 A80J to be calibrated by Valley Electronics. So I don't know if maybe you've helped them out, FOMO.
Yeah, let's see. Okay.
He's in the comments. Hardcore in the comments.
This is the second person I've heard that is getting their QC and calibration at Valley Electronics. And let me tell you, for the 77-inch, that makes total sense. And we've been through it. All of us have. At 55 and 65, it's not so bad taking it off the stand or the wall and putting it in your minivan. At 77-inch, I do not want to find out that suddenly it has DSE and grid and go through the trouble of just swapping it out. So whether it's Best Buy or Valley Electronics, when you're going 77-inch or larger, or let's say 75-inch or larger, you have to find a way to make it easier to swap, and a legitimate swap, right? The grid pattern, the DSC, the spider webs, or the Venetian blind, whatever it is, this is the panel lottery. And let's say it happens to 5% of the TVs out there. 5 out of 100 people, you're going to have to swap it. And if you're in the middle of nowhere, VE and similar retailers that are willing to do the QC for you, it works. And just to give you guys a heads up, the reason I haven't got my C1 is because Valley Electronics is telling me, you know what, we had a couple, but it didn't pass QC. So the next batch, we'll try to land you one. And I'm like, take your time. Don't send me a C1 that doesn't pass QC. And so that's something to keep in mind, that Valve Electronics, they work very closely with both LG and Sony, and as well as other retailers. They're not the only one, but they're the only one that offers to open it up and call up the manufacturer and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sell this to my clients. So I think that's a value. It's not super cheap, but for those that are willing to pay a couple hundred more, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and it's a little disappointing that they're having such problems. It not Value Electronics, but LG displays, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, or is that on the actual?
Well, it's
is that
okay.
on
So
Sony
let's
or whoever?
let's be fair. I'm hearing complaints across the board from all 2021 OLEDs, whether it's Sony or LG. So I'm very curious to find out if the Panasonics have this problem. And if they do, I'm very certain it's the new quote unquote Evo panel to a certain degree. Whatever they're doing this manufacturing, it is different enough that it's, this year it's this grid spiderweb Venetian blind effect. Hopefully they'll address it next year, but it's not on all the TVs, or on some TVs it's minimal enough that it's acceptable. And I think the most telling of all is on Vincent To's most recent review of the A90J. For him to comment on that, even though it's not a lot, he had to comment because, hey, you know what? He's got it. So it's, and I think he had maybe, well, I'm not sure if he has the older, newer panel, but it doesn't matter, right? I mean, it's out there.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, I appreciate that, Dana, for the question. Sorry, wrong one there, Preston. Preston has a question. Does the A80J look good mounted? Yeah, Preston, I have to tell you, man, the A80J looks fantastic. I think it actually even looks better than the A90J as far as how the TV looks from the outside. I like the A80J having the metal wrap kind of around the bezel. I don't like the exposed glass that the A90J has. It makes me a little nervous. If it's just sitting there on the wall, it's not going to be damaged. But the A80J looks cleaner. The back of it looks cooler. Now, just get a nice flush wall mount, because if you have anything to put behind the TV, you can always have that stuff up above where the panel is, where there is no back of the TV. I have my Apple TV kind of just resting on top of the A890J. But yeah, it looks pretty good on the wall. And, the G1 obviously is the coolest looking TV to put on the wall. So definitely a consideration too. The mount's a little wacky, but you can, if you leave it flat against the wall, it's not a big deal. So yeah, definitely appreciate the super chat there, guy. It does look pretty cool on the wall, but it is still, 2 inches thick. It's not just the glass alone. So. I think this is the same guy, Christopher Brennan, asking about the C10. Do you think it would go down any further in price? That's a good question. Do you think it'll go down to $1799, FOMO?
I do think by Prime Day it will go to $1,800, and that's when it will all disappear. So, obviously they want to get rid of it. It's already sunk cost. They want to get inventory out, move in all the C1s, otherwise they'll have a problem selling all the C1s that'll be making its way into inventory. So yeah, if you wait around, you might save a couple hundred, or it may run out quicker than you expect. So that's the gamble we always play come Prime Day with these TVs. And just a warning, last year's Q80R ran out before Prime Day. So the Samsung Q80R at almost all the sizes never made it to Prime Day. And that one everyone loved, right? Including myself. And so when a TV is universally beloved, it may not even make it to Prime Day, especially the popular 65-inch size.
If we keep telling people to get it, it's definitely going to be gone by then.
Hey, it's our things, right? If you read the review, it's a glowing endorsement of getting the C10, especially for non-gamers. Definitely for non-gamers.
It's so funny that the year before it was the same thing. Like it felt like the C9, get the C9, get the C9, don't get the C10. And now we're at the same place. And I thought that was kind of funny.
That C9 comment, those who got the C9 don't have FOMO for either the C10 or the C1. That's what I'm loving, because they're saying the C9 is brighter than both. So I'm like, hey, man, you guys won.
That's funny. You say hi, what's up to Tech with KG? Tech with KG's in the house. Definitely has some cool videos, comparison videos. I like what you're doing, man.
Caught a couple of his comparisons. I'm loving those gaming comparisons, buddy.
Keep doing your thing, dude. I got here, Jason Hall. Do you recommend breaking in OLED TVs? I believe Value Electronics does this as part of their pro calibration. Yeah, I mean, that was the goal when we had Magician here. Is he wanted to get 200 hours on the TV before we messed around with them, just so they had a little breaking in period. What do you got on that?
Breaking in of the OLED TVs before calibration, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Value Electronics will break it in for between 100 and 200 hours. And I think a little over 100 hours, that's what they do for me. And they do not calibrate until it's broken in. So two things happen during break-in. That's at the end of break-in, that's when all the DSC comes out, right? Any getting all that stuff, they're able to clear it. And if they can't clear it by the end of QC, then it's a QC fail. And most importantly, the OLED shifting of color happens in the first 100 hours, meaning that's when it starts to stabilize. So many calibrators will tell you, don't call me until you've had at least 100, sometimes even 2. So yeah, absolutely. It is part of their pro calibration.
Cool, man. Yeah, I didn't, it's funny when I had my, just for people that have the OLEDs, if they get an OLED or they're concerned about one with the grid, Venetian blinds, whatever you want to call it, it does seem like it goes away a bit after, especially if you think, it's going to bother you, definitely do like a pixel cleaning, do it a couple times before you, call foul, because if you take these OLEDs back for these minimal problems and then you end up getting a Samsung or something that's got like a headache, a bunch of dirty screen effect, it's going to drive you nuts more than this will. I honestly, I had the A90J that had a bit of issues. I took that back and got a different one. Besides that, all of these other OLEDs have a bit of that, a little bit of the grid, but it doesn't bother me and I don't even notice it. So I'm not really noticing it. You really got to be up close and really have to be nitpicking. And so I haven't really seen it bother me. And the C1 that I had, it went away. It went away after I did the pixel cleaning.
And to that point, I think it bothers gamers the most, especially gamers who, you're an adventure game or anything where you're looking to the sky and it's bright. So let's say flight simulators, that's where the grid is obvious. But when you're watching movies, how often does the scene, blow up in the sky, right? So you're absolutely right. Gamers are probably the ones that will be complaining the most.
Yeah, that is true. Because and especially gaming, because it's always panning like that. You're always moving back and forth. Like when you're moving back and forth on center to a white screen, that's where all the problems come out. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah. And Rainer, he said, I know you're mainly about picture quality, gaming, etc. But do the LG and Sony's provide online Microsoft Office 365 usage like the latest Samsungs? I was going to ask you if you knew about that. Check out that comment if you get a chance. Utilizing Microsoft Office usage.
Oh, the answer is no. So Samsung's entire CES was about this. TV is more than just a TV. It's about working at home, blah, blah, blah. And so that is definitely unique to Samsung. I haven't tested it myself, but Sony has gone Google TV. So whatever Google TV offers as it relates to Microsoft Office, eventually the Sonys will have it. LG's WebOS, I haven't heard any association with work at home beyond gaming features on this year's WebOS 6. So I don't see any of that kind of productivity focus the way that Samsung did. And by the way, shout out to Tizen. I really like Tizen. I'm beginning to like it more and more, as I'm using it. Yeah.
I had that for years on the KS8000, and it's quick and you can navigate around. But yeah, it hasn't changed a ton lately. I do like the new the multi-view. Did you ever get a chance to look and see if it has more than 2, or you can use more than 2 inputs on that multi-view?
Yeah. I haven't had a chance, but yeah,
it's tough because it's like we don't put that many inputs into the TV normally when reviewing. So you're not loading it up with like when I go to clients' houses, sometimes they have 4 different inputs they want in there. So it's different. It's always different. Let me show. So we were talking about the A80J and C1, and I have a couple slides that I haven't shown. Oops, now I got to add it back. I always mess this up. All right, so let me get this. Let me get Rainer's comment off. There we go. Appreciate it. I hope that helps, dude. Let me go full screen for a minute. It's kind of offset. Sorry, I didn't put it centered very good here. Let's see what else we got. Oh, that's it. Let's see. I think I got more. No, that's it. I got you. I'm not even on the right screen, am I? Dude, I'm the worst with this thing. I pulled it off. So let me get back to these slides. So you said, did you get all over the Hisense information you wanted to go over, or did you were talking
Oh, you know
about?
what? Yeah, just real quick. Now that more people have tuned in, just
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
guys were
no worries.
wondering, the U8G definitely has working 4K 120 HDR 10-bit. I tested it on my Xbox Series X, and the readout is everything. And when I played on Dirt 5, there is none of that banding that you would expect to see on an 8-bit 4K 120. It looks phenomenal, actually. Not as good as the Q90A. So I know a lot of you go, hey, is this better than the Q90A? Gaming, the Q90A HDR is just mesmerizingly bright, right? Whereas the U8G, its HDR is more like filmmaker. So it's not dim, but it's definitely more color accurate, as if filmmaker mode is always on. It's HDR. But on the Q90A, I'm talking HDR on steroids. I mean, wow. So both are great. I would play on the Q90A because I do enjoy that HDR craziness. But surprisingly, the UAG looks awesome, and what I would expect from a Sony 4K 120 VRR, which is killing me. So here you have the U8G with very similar port setup, right? Two 4K 120, 3 and 4. And then 1 and 2 are the normal 2.0 ports. And then port 3 is the eARC, just like Sony, except every gaming feature works. And it's FreeSync Premium certified. So I'm like, okay, if Hisense could do it within 1 year on an entirely new model, I don't know what Sony is trying to figure out.
How does that happen, man?
I don't know. So yeah, it could look this good. And if the Sony looks that good, you'll all be happy.
Yeah, we got a couple of questions on these. Scott, Christopher Taylor here. Gaming aside, you know, H9G or UHG, what do you think? They have an open box for $670. It's tough to beat that price. Isn't that about half of the new one?
So the H9G, 2 issues, the red motion blur, and that's probably why it's an open box. They saw the red motion, they didn't like it, they returned it. And the motion overall on the H9G, if you don't like soap opera, you're going to return it. The H9G looks great in their motion clarity mode, but that's a lot of soap opera to get rid of the stutter. And then some people complain of the red motion blur. So if those 2 things don't bother you, the H9G is a great deal. Now, I always question what open box really means. So I would never buy an open box at $670 personally. But, you know, it's another gamble, right? It's a panel lottery at the open box. You're taking to another level.
Yeah, I mean, you do get, you know, the good thing about it is you could even take it out in the store and check out the TV, which is good. So do that. And if you're going to get that TV, and also you'll get a warranty, you'll get your same return period. So if you get it home and it ends up, you know, having a big scratch across it that you didn't notice, you can take it back. But I normally, if I'm going to get an open box, I check it out before I leave the store and make sure that it doesn't look awful. So I hope that helps, Chris. Appreciate it. And we got Chris Brennan again. What is this grid spiderweb issue you guys keep referencing? Are all these panel issues new to this year, or do they affect all OLEDs?
I love that question.
Yeah, I mean, now, you know, some of the C10s made now are still having it, right? Because they're being built now. So
let's rewind to last year, Christopher. I know Brian isn't here, but he had to return 2 77-inch C10s that all had spiderweb issues. And last year, it appeared to be limited to the larger 77-inch size on the C10. This year, it's spreading to the smaller sizes, 55 and 65 on the C1, A80J, and A90J. So I don't know if it's new to all panels, but it could be all the panels that came out of Guangzhou last year are affected, and this year they're affected plus more because Guangzhou is supplying even more TV OLEDs or OLED panels to more companies. So, but put that aside, prior, people were complaining of bad vertical banding. The spiderweb effect is not as bad as the dirty vertical banding. You just have to choose your poison. The C8 and the C9 had vertical banding that some say were worse than the spiderweb. So it's not, you know, nothing changed, right?
Yeah. And, you know, when I jumped on with you one of the times, I checked out the different TVs that I had from like last year, the 8H and the C10, and I didn't have any, I never noticed that before this year. But then I did get a little bit of vertical banding from having those for a year, you know. And overall, I prefer this grid issue. I think it's less subtle, and it's, it's not like the vertical banding he's speaking of. So, it's, you just check out your screen. If you want to put it on a bright, go and get one of those OLED banding tests and just check it out. Get it up to like 40%, and you'll start to see if it has it or not when you start getting into the brighter areas. But
or better yet, don't look for it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
What is it? Brian always says is like, dude, if you don't see it, don't go looking for it. That's not your job. That's our job. That's not your job.
Yeah. If you're gaming, it's hard to miss it on a Samsung that has like bad DSE. But even these, I don't really notice it. But yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Here we got one more question about the U8G or C1 sports, movies, and games. What do you think?
Okay, so my U8G happened to have excellent uniformity, and I won the panel lottery. But you guys also know my H9F lost the panel lottery. I had to get a warranty claim. So if you win the panel lottery in either one, their motion for sports will be phenomenal, except the U8G has no ABL. And that may be the difference maker for those of you watching hockey or just bright gaming. Whereas the C1, the Artings review complained that the ABL is even worse on the C1 than the C10. I'm not saying a lot worse, but in the objective measure, it was noticeably a tiny bit worse, and which surprised me because I thought ABL was supposed to have gotten better on the C1. So take that with what you will, but our teams did not like the ABL on the C1. So if you're doing sports and movies, you may have to consider that.
Yeah, and I have to agree. The C1 or the C10 or any OLED can sometimes be underwhelming when you're watching SDR content, or if you're just in a brighter, if your ambient light is just lifted, where it's just your eyes are used to like a normal room, sometimes those TVs just don't look super bright. But I mean, obviously people, and most of the people that follow us will be like, wow, but the OLED picture quality is so good. But a lot of the LED TVs, if you can find an LED TV that doesn't have a ton of blooming and that doesn't bother you in dark content, like if you're at night, you're watching a movie, if that doesn't bother you, then these LED TVs or LCD LED TVs still, still have a massive brightness advantage in full screen. So it's pretty tough for an OLED to compete with a bright QLED when you're watching like a hockey game, like he keeps saying. Like it's so much brighter on the LED TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's appreciate that. Mastroff 33. We got Juan Garcia just says stopping by to say hi. You guys are awesome. Love it. I appreciate it, Juan. I appreciate everyone that's on right now. Keep asking questions. I know FOMO's going through some of the questions on here. We love all the questions. We love the people stopping by. I see ROC Hawkins. I don't know if I'm saying that right, man. I hope I am. I see him around. Appreciate it. Had his boy Magician in the house yesterday, right? Yeah, it was yesterday. Spent some time calibrating the TVs. Tech with KG's here, hitting up the comments as well. He does some cool videos. Also, I saw the QN90A versus C1 videos. Pretty cool. I was considering doing that, and I needed to get a different QN90A because the one that I had was really beat. So, and just early on that, like you were talking about, watching darker content with the suppression of the specular highlights, it just wasn't super awesome for me at that point. So I'm going to probably try again with Samsung here because I really want a good LED TV. All I have is a Hisense H9G. That's it right now. So I think, right here. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Sorry. We have, if you guys don't know, we have two different systems. We have to use a StreamYard. And so then to comment, we got to go on. Well, I can comment on the StreamYard today, but if I go down in the comments, and sometimes I lose the super chats and I can't go back up. So I try to comment on the actual broadcast, which you guys are seeing. And so it's like I'm going back between two different screens here to make sure I get your guys' information. So that's one of the reasons why it looks like I'm always messing around here. But the other is because I'm still learning how to do this. Rainer says, Brandon, you can have, there we go, multi-view with up to 4 sources on the Samsung 2021 flagships. Now, that's awesome. Good to know. When I was reviewing the TV, I only went with one source, and then I added my phone, or I added YouTube. And I was trying to figure out where that was, where you could add a third and a fourth. So it's just a matter of getting these TVs in-house, and you guys start to learn. And so that's why sometimes, we're not like the ultimate wizards when it comes to TVs. We learn from people too, And
so this multi-view comment. So in theory, I can play two different consoles simultaneously. Like one person could be on a Switch and another person could be on a PS5, splitting the screen in half. I mean, is that the theory? Because if it is, that's kind of cool on an 85
Yeah.
inch.
Yeah,
Are you
see, I
kidding
don't.
me?
The thing that I wasn't certain about, because that's what it used to be, is that when you had like an older school TV, it used to be like one of the HDMI's could do it, but then the other source that you could split had to be like a tuner or something like that. So now it's
Right.
obviously 10 years later. So we're talking about different kind of TVs here. But that was my question, because I didn't get the opportunity to plug two HDMI's in and check and see. But that would definitely be cool to have, like,
Yeah.
because
And I'll
I
check
that's
that. I'll check that
yeah,
for
and
sure.
that's how I do it. I mean, I watch a movie and I'm always on my phone with something else. So it's like, if you could just have that on the screen in the upper corner, like a program with sound while you're gaming on the like larger portion of the screen, that definitely would be cool. So that's cool. And we got Jack Herbert, appreciate it. Oh, is that a Chicago Bears fan though? I don't know about that. I'm just kidding. I think he pulled back a comment. Let me see if you have a message, Jack. Let me know. I'm a Packers fan, so no big deal. The Packers,
Perfect.
they're gonna lose Aaron Rodgers, then you're gonna be happy with your new quarterback.
Who's picking up Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know. They're just having the drama in Green Bay. He's having the drama. He might host Jeopardy instead of playing football. He
might do the Tom Brady and win his Super Bowl that way.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Aaron Rodgers is definitely a bit of drama, but he's a good quarterback. We want him back at the Packers. And then we got another question. They're just rolling out the Hisense questions. Canada Dave, Hisense U8G 55 versus 65. I realize you don't have both, but how much worse will the blooming be on the 55 in your opinion? Limited space.
So the 55 inch, given it has the same processor, motion will be excellent. Just don't have it in a pitch black room. Otherwise, you'll notice the lifted blacks. It's not so much the blooming. I really think it's the lifted blacks that separate the U8G from, a Samsung top of the line mini LED. So I think they figured out the blooming control last year, and it's much the same this year. So I don't see an improvement in blooming over the H9G. What I see is better, how do you describe it? Better HDR, better resolution and motion. And I think that's the biggest improvement. And you'll get all that in the 55 inch.
That's good. Good info. You got me excited about this TV, man. I'm gonna have to get it.
What, 1,300, man, and under 1,000 for the 55 inch.
Yeah, that's
Can't go wrong.
You get a lot of questions as time goes on over the summer about like these more like this is we had a good question here. I think it's a couple further down. No, here it is. This is a question like a lot of people not an OLED fan, which is fair enough. That's fine. With the 150 nit full screen brightness sometimes is not everyone's thing. But the X95J, you think it'll be worth it?
Well, if you're not in a hurry, definitely. I will have the X95J, assuming it comes out in the summer. So Hisense is letting me hold on to this U8G for another 6 months or so. And assuming it comes out within the next 6 months, I will definitely put them head to head. Now, my X95J will be calibrated. I'm going to try to find a calibrator to get it done between now and the time the X95J rolls around. And I think once calibrated, I'm pretty excited to see how it compares with the Sony. But yeah, I think it's worth waiting for, only because what can the XR processor do that the Hisense can't? And the X95 will be launching at around $2,300. That's $1,000 more. So that's a premium worth looking at. Why are you waiting for another 1,000? It better be good.
Right. Yeah, I definitely was excited for that X95J. I thought that the X90, 950H last year was great. The only downside that I had was when I had it in my room, I was watching at night. I watch a lot of a lot of HDR movies with the wide bars. And so then I'd see, the Disney Plus logo come up and you got that. Yeah. It always annoys me. And I got to stop being so picky with that. Because I really do like the brightness of these LED TVs. I mean, they're pretty amazing.
I think, we always say that is once you have OLED, you notice those things. If you didn't have an OLED, you wouldn't have noticed the bars and the fonts and the text blooming, right? But once you have OLED, like, hey, this doesn't happen to A80J.
Yeah, like ignorance is bliss, because like my KS8000 didn't even have dimming zones. So it was just edge lit. I never worried about it. I didn't realize how poor that, native contrast was in that TV. I just realized it was always bright, and I like that TV a lot. I want to get my 77-inch LG C1 to replace the 60-inch Pioneer Elite Plasma. Will I see a night and day difference? Now, I think you're going to see a night and day difference just in the 17-inch size difference right there. But yeah, most people that I talk to that have, older plasmas that they really enjoy, they don't really realize how good these OLED TVs are in comparison. So, I think that it's going to be a massive difference, and it's going to be really nice looking. What do you think about that?
I mean, going 17-inch diagonal, are you kidding me? It's like, whoa.
That's a huge difference. Yeah. That's funny. Christopher here has a question. Do extended warranties cover the lottery panel issues like banding, grids, spider webbing, or do they just cover the fatal issues like major malfunctions or burn-in? Well, I mean, some of the extended warranties don't even cover burn-in, so it's really just like the Best Buy ones that do.
Yeah, none of the extended warranties do, except for Best Buy. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know about how some of these other things like banding or I know there's a couple one that have like a certain number of pixels have to be dead or whatever for them to like return.
The answer is yeah. So on Best Buy, I think Best Buy told me that they require less dead pixels than competing warranties, but there is a minimum number of dead pixels before they'll swap it out. As far as banding, grid, and spider webbing, it definitely is the call of the tech that comes by. So obviously, let's say it's really terrible, then of course they'll take it. But there's a point where it's acceptable and not acceptable. So if you are an elite member and you tend to buy a lot of stuff from Best Buy, more often than not, they'll look the other way and they'll just swap it for you because you're a loyal customer. If this is your first Best Buy whatever, but you have the Geek Squad coverage, they may still do it because that's a reputation of the Geek Squad. But if it's just a simple within 30 days, they may not let you. So that's the best way I could describe it.
Oh, I did see this. That's good to know. Thank you. I appreciate that information. And yeah, I would say that for the most part, what I would be concerned about most with a warranty is covering like the fatal flaws. Like I would want to make sure that if something massive goes out after a year or two, that's where you're going to be in trouble. A motherboard issue, something you start smelling smoke or something, or whatever that may be. Rainer did tell us, unfortunately, you can still only use one HDMI port at a time on multi-view. So you can use apps. So you can use a mobile device, linear TV, apps, and an HDMI. So you got some there. There you go. And I did want to say while we're I'm going to pause on these real quick. I'll get back to these super chats, I promise. But for the people that have shown up, I have the A90J, the A80J, the G1, and the C1 in my house. And I'm going to be doing some comparisons on these. And I was considering doing a 4-way comparison, sort of in like a March Madness style, where I compare them and put like the 1 versus the 4, the seeds. Maybe you guys should let me know what the seeding should be. And I'll give them like a full comparison in one video where I'll do like a tournament of champions, a real OLED battle.
That's a total engagement challenge, right? Do a poll. I mean, that sounds like fun.
Take like the next month and I'll do this video where I'll give it. I mean, I know people there's a lot of different factors that come into play with which TV is best, but I think it'll be great. And I'm interested to hear what people have to say. I want to actually share the little video I made too. Right before, let's see, video file. How do you get these video files shared? I put that in this folder. There we go. Let's see. Is it going to let me? Here we go. Let me get this off the screen and I'll restart it.
Nice.
There we go. All right, let's do it over. So this is a little A90J or A80J at the bottom and the C1 at the top. So I think it keeps going. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. They both look pretty good. I mean, realistically, this is the epitome of splitting hairs. Both of these TVs look awesome. So right now there is a deal on the A80J where it's, what is it, $34.99 for the A80J, and it is 30. Are they both $34.99 or is the C1 actually $37.99? Is the C1 more expensive now? I think. For the 77-inch C1, I think it's $300 more than the A80J.
Yes, that's the crazy thing, right? Less. It's dropped to $3,500. I thought the C1 would follow, but it hasn't followed. That's
not
crazy.
Yet.
No, well, it's soon.
Yeah, and then here we go. Leads right into Jason. I want to get a 77-inch A80J for my living room with windows directly facing the TV. Will I regret buying such an expensive OLED when watching during the day? Help. What I would say to that is, Jason, just get some blinds, get some, blackout curtains, figure it out. The A80J does have a more matte finish to it, so it doesn't look as reflective. It doesn't. You don't see exactly everything in the screen as you do with a OLED. It's not like a mirror, but it's not any better. It's, in my opinion, it's the same. It's about the same. I'll say that. I can't give it. I'd like to see what Ratings has to say regarding that matte finish, because matte finish doesn't mean it's better at reflecting. It just means it's different. And so I've never seen an OLED that has a matte finish before. It was just something that I commented. But I think the A80J with increased brightness over something like the 8H or A9G, I would say it would be fine. I would absolutely recommend it. Just make sure that you're able to control the light, because yes, when you have a window behind you, like I have a window behind me, I just have to make sure that the shades are down, and I could get blackout curtains, like I've been told by many people before in my video where I knocked it for its lack of brightness, the C10. But yeah, you just have to deal with that. I wouldn't say go get a lesser TV that's an LCD LED time of TV just because of the curtains. If you can't control the light and they're like floor to ceiling windows, then you might have to figure that out, something with the better anti-reflective coating or something like that. What do you think?
Hey, Brandon, real quick. So he's talking about the 77-inch A80J, and we're talking about pricing on the C1. So Keep It Classy Tech just said that the C1 is $3,500 on Lowe's, and since everybody price matches, just refer to Lowe's, and suddenly you got the $3,500. So I think it's right, there. Yeah. The C1 is now at $3,500 based on the Lowe's pricing.
That's a good deal. That that's. I don't know. Does Best Buy, is Lowe's? That's the same Lowe's that sells like like home supplies.
Home Depot. Right.
Actually,
like the Home Depot Lowe's, right?
That's funny. I didn't even know they sold TVs, but that's a good deal. And if you can, they're a reputable business, so I'm sure Best Buy and all that will match that. So that's good. That's a good call. Either way, it looks like you're already at Black Friday prices right now.
I think TVs. You're right. I think this, for a new launch, this is definitely Black Friday or Prime Day prices at least.
Yeah, so those might go down as low as $3,000. And you know what? I don't mind telling people, I got a list of prices. I'm not going to show the list, but I'm going to tell people a couple things. First, I had an magician come over and help me calibrate the TVs. And how we did this was we calibrated them all to the same white point. And after talking about this, he had said that the A90J was the most accurate, and then the A80J, and then the C1, and the G1 was actually the least accurate of the 4 TVs. Does that surprise you, FOMO?
I'm sorry, what was that? Just
okay. Comment. No worries. The best calibrated TVs was the A90J, then the A80J, then the C1, and then the G1 was last of the 4. That was the most inaccurate, the LG G1. I just thought that was interesting.
This is before calibration?
No, this is post calibration. That was before. Yes, that was out of the box. That's what I'm saying. Sorry.
A lot of people complained about the G1 out of the box, and not having it myself, or even when I do get it, it'll be calibrated. So this comment is important because we know 95% of consumers will not calibrate any TV they buy. And that's important to know. I mean, you're getting a G1, you're paying extra. Like, wait, what does everything look pink or green or whatever? Whereas if you get the Sony A80J or almost any Sony out of the box, it has a reputation for looking pretty good. And C1 as well this year.
Oh, here we have a real quick question that you could probably hop on too. I'll go back to that. I'm going to go back to the comparisons. But will Hisense have an 85-inch? Will they have an answer for the TCL XL series?
The answer is this year, no. Hisense's largest TV this year is the 75-inch dual cell U9 DG. That's coming out some point. So no 85-inch this year from Hisense in the USA. So if you're outside the USA, maybe, but in the USA, the answer is no.
And another one real quick, because I know this is you're good with this. Red blur was the only thing in the U8G review that concerned me. Was it noticeable? I know you said it was less than the H9G, but what do you think about that? Do you think people would be okay with it?
So the funny thing is, on the H9G, I didn't even notice either because I didn't watch the The Crown, right? But a lot of people noticed it on The Witcher, which I enjoyed, but I didn't watch it on the H9G. I watched it on the OLED. So when I watched it on the H9G, I had to look for it. So it could be a panel variance as well, but for sure on the U8G, it's improved. So if I hardly noticed it on the H9G, it's even less noticeable on the U8G. And I did go looking for it to make sure you guys saw the difference with the crowns. So yeah, if you're not looking for it, I don't think it's a problem.
That was an interesting little video. I like that. That was cool how you were able to get that. Rainer's out. You got a sleep emoji. He's out. Sleep time in Germany, man. I understand.
Good night, Rainer.
I feel like it's sleep time and I'm in California, man. So don't worry about that, man. I was up till 3 a.m. finishing up my TCL video, which, hey, check it out. It was an interesting video. It was a cool experience to be able to get I basically brought home a full crated box from China to my house, and in my truck alone, it looks amazing. Just the sheer massiveness of it. And I know that Digital Trends also did a video. Caleb did a little better job of checking some of the boxes regarding the different features of it than mine was more of an experience, but they were pretty cool videos. And it's pretty funny to see Digital Trends try to get that 85-inch box in his studio or whatever. That was hilarious because that thing, that box is just ridiculous. And it took me, I basically boxed that TCL TV up in the time it took my guy, Magician, to calibrate 4 TVs. So I'm not kidding. Like I was coming in and out and I'm like trying to find pieces of the box and put it back together. I mean, it was ridiculous how big that box was. So you're not gonna get an 85-inch TCL TV damaged. That thing is gonna come in one piece. I'm telling you.
Oh man,
it's pretty funny. So we got a question here: Sony X90J versus Samsung versus Hisense in a bright room. 65-inch. Need something to watch Justin Fields and the Bear this season beat up on the Packers, huh? That's going to be a tough one. We got the X90J, Samsung or Hisense in a bright room, 65-inch. Man, that's a tough one.
Okay, so we know the X90J is going to lose the brightness war. So let's knock them out. They're brighter than last year, but the X90J really is not supposed to compete at the same level in brightness. That's the X95J.
Yeah.
So you have the Samsung QN90A, QN85A, or last year's QN90T, and Hisense H9G, that's still on sale, or the U8G. In a bright room, I would go with the Hisense because the extra deep blacks in a bright room from the Samsung will look so close to the Hisense, you don't know why you paid the premium. Then you may have to decide, do you like Android TV or Google TV or Tizen? But if it's just the image quality, I'd go with the Hisense U8G between those three right now.
Yeah, it's tough. The one knock on Hisense to this day, too, and I'm going to just say it, is that Hisense is not known as a top TV. It's not even really known as a TV. Like, people are like, what is a Hisense? If you go into the stores and you ask the people if they got Hisense TVs, you're going to get some weird looks because most of the people that deal in the home theater don't really, they don't know how good Hisense is. So I think your best resource is Stop the FOMO here on that because he does a lot of good videos on them. But yeah, the X90J, which we said is a little better than last year, I don't think it has that extra wide angle layer. Some people don't like that because, if you're watching sports from multiple angles in the room, or if you're watching it, you might, I think that any of these TVs would be fine if you're talking about the Samsung QN90A. But yeah, the value on the Hisense is probably the best one there. And if you're going to get a Samsung or you like Samsung, you're probably going to pay a premium price. But if it's also during football season, you got some time to think about it and see where all the prices shake out too. So Jack, you don't have to make that decision yet because Justin Fields could get hurt or something. I'm just kidding. I want Justin Fields to do awesome this year. Hey, the Bears need a quarterback, man. They need a quarterback. Andy Dalton was not.
They've had some high picks. They've had some high quarterback picks that none of them worked out. I mean, I feel bad for them. Right?
It's hard to draft a Patrick Mahomes or draft even think about drafting Russell Wilson for the Seahawks. Like, what a steal that was, man.
Oh, his height alone. He's not supposed to play quarterback at his height.
Yeah. Wasn't he like a second or third round pick too? I don't think he was a first round pick.
Yep. He was a legit baseball player. So that's why they were thinking, he's going to go play pro baseball.
But he played for Wisconsin, so I knew he was good because he almost won. He almost got us to a national championship in 1 year. So yeah. Anyways. Any inside info on the TCL 8K XL features, price? I don't have any information. I feel like, and I'm hoping that the OD0 has HDMI 2.1. What do you think about that?
So all I've heard are the rumors about. So let's talk about just the 8K XL. If he's referring to yours, right?
But
What's
mine's
that?
not 8K though.
Oh, yours
The
is
one
an
that I
8K.
had was 4K. No, that was a 4K.
Oh, okay. Wait, it's 4K and it's $3,000. All this time I thought it was 8K. Okay, it's 4K.
I don't think now. You know what? If it's 8K, I feel so stupid if it is.
No, wait, which one is it? Is it the
No,
7
I have
what?
the 745. It's the 745. It's like
Okay.
a 6 series without the mini LED. There's no way. It's not 8K because it doesn't even have HDMI 2.1 or any of the features like that. So
Got it.
I'm pretty sure it's 4K. Is the OD0 going to be 8K?
Yes. So the OD0 is their flagship 85-inch. Now, with prices going crazy, at the beginning of the year, everyone was predicting 3,500, which to me was already crazy. But I don't know if they could hold on to that price based on what I'm seeing. And so it may end up being closer to 4,000 for the OD0. But now, if you're telling me that this 4K 85-inch is 3,000, I can't imagine OD0 mini LED 8K is only 1,000 more. So now I'm going to have to readjust my expectation for the pricing of the OD0. I mean, 3,500, 3,003. Who would get the $3,000 4K 85-inch when for 500 more you can get the OD0? So, yeah, I think prices are going up. I cannot even predict now what the OD0 is going to be. It may end up being a lot higher than 4,000.
Yeah, I mean, the definitely was 4K, and I knew it was 4K. I was just all of a sudden I got a little nervous there because I was like, oh my gosh, it's one of those things where if you miss something big, you know you're gonna get blasted. But TCL, I looked through the manuals, I was checking out the pictures, I didn't see anything that said 8K. I was pretty sure, and even my in my title it says 4K. So
wait, dude,
we're good.
Speaking of missing something big, I'm gonna have to share my missing something big moment right now. So in my UHG review, you know how I was complaining about the microphone, I couldn't turn it off. Well, apparently there's a button on the front of the TV where if you switch it from on to off, it turns off the microphone.
Yeah.
And so all of you listening, the UAG, you can turn off the microphone. Hisense reached out, hey, you see the button right there? Like, what? Oh man, so I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, I knew that the A9G had that. Or I'm sorry, the H9G. I'm getting all these letters mixed up.
They agreed they're still figuring out a way to turn off the Android login request. So that one they don't know how to do. They're going to reach out to Android and Google, and then they will let me know. I might have to talk to tech support. So on that end, we're still uncertain whether you could stop them from bothering you to tell you to log in. But definitely, the microphone is off.
Yeah, I got a good question here for you. I'll even let you read it if you want. Do you want to go at this one? It's about the OLED production.
Yes, I just read this. So according to the latest DSCC CapEx report, and that's our good friend Bob O'Brien, who is one of the principals there, OLED production is decreasing as resources are going more into mini LED production. Existing LCD panels can be repurposed and more demand. What's the viability of mini LED? So after you and I have seen mini LED from Samsung now, and what I've noticed is, other than making it a little bit brighter, the blacks are no better than the Q90R. And yes, the dimming zone count is higher, but that's not mini LED. That's just more dimming zones, which is separate from mini LED. So I still don't know what mini LED brings to the table other than possibly the whole OD0 concept, which according to Bob at DSCC, it's minor compared to the number of dimming zones. He would take more dimming zones over OD0 any day of the week.
Good info. Good info. Thank you, Spillage Village. I appreciate that. I think I got another one down here. Oh, yep. There we go. Rainer.
I thought he went to bed.
Yeah, he did. That was a while ago. I'm trying to catch up. These chat things always go so weird. It's like you think you're caught up, and then there's like 6 more below it.
Right.
Current 65-inch Samsung 1080p curved flag from 2014. I want more size in a moderately lit room. Apple TV content. 77-inch A80 or C1 or 85-inch QN90A. More deets in the comment. More deets in the comment. I don't know what that means. Anyways, this brought me up to, let me just reiterate one thing. I have some, I can resell TVs if I want. And so I have a group of people that want to sell me TVs, and I got the price lists. And we found out that there is a lot of markup in these 83-inch TVs. So, FOMO, what do you think will be the price point for these 83-inch TVs if we saw the prices that we saw were accurate, where, they're willing to sell them to other companies like us? Like the C1 83-inch was somewhere around $4,500 or so, something like that, for a $6,000
So you know what?
retail.
So obviously, the markup is crazy on these things,
Yeah.
and the 83-inch is going to be rare because for many reasons. They're not producing a lot of them. I think it's going to hold its price because people are getting in line to pay $6,000. That's the thing. They actually have $6,000 or $8,000 to pay, and if inventory was not moving, yeah, they start dropping like Prime Day, Black Friday. But from what I understand, there's a waiting list for both the C183 and the A90J 83.
Well, if anyone in California wants to share some shipping costs with me, I might be able to hook them up with some good pricing on these, because
but warn them, there is no returns on the Spider.
There's no
grid.
there's going to be no checking on the quality control, so we're concerned about that. No, there's definitely concerns about that, even for me. Yep. But if I was to say that I could get the A90J 83-inch for, let's just say all in, I could get it for about $5,500 or $6,000 versus $8,000. That's a chance I might be willing to risk that for a savings of over $2,000 with shipping tax and the price that they're offering it to me. And it's a legitimate store that sells. It's not like it's not falling off a truck anywhere. Anyways, so back to this one. The 77-inch don't have as much markup. So anyways, what do you think about this? 85-inch QN98. It's always tough not to get the extra 8 inches of size. So that's why I was talking about the 83-inch.
That's exactly what, this is exactly what I was thinking. Right when I saw moderately lit room, QN98 85-inch all day long, because you guys don't understand how good this TV is. I mean, when we as reviewers pick on these things, it's because these TVs are so similar. But the fallback is get the larger and less expensive TV. But in this case, being that maybe they're all close in price, go larger, because the QN98 in a moderately lit room, man, it looks great. It's super bright. It's got the size. Yeah, the A80J is going to have better specular highlights, but that extra 8 inches at that size, you'll notice the difference. I'd run with it.
Yeah, and he also had a Samsung too. So, I know people do have some brand loyalty. And I think this is the first year where I would be satisfied if they had a little bit better highlights in some of the dark content I watched. There was a lot less blooming on the TV. I found some blooming at an angle, but for the most part, it looks a lot better than the Q90T with regards to blooming. I think it has like 10 times the dimming zones, or no, it's like at least 5 times the dimming zones. I think all 3 of these will be a winner, though. I think you're going to be happy with any of the TVs. Apple TV content. I've actually seen Apple TV content on all 3 of these TVs and was happy. So yeah, and they'll work out those issues with the highlights, I believe, from Samsung. They'll probably find a way to get it a little less aggressive, don't you think? With the dimming?
I think so. And this is their first year with the new processor, with this number of dimming zones, with the mini LED, and the gaming. Oh man, on an 85-inch QN90A with that level of gaming competence, I'm pretty excited to see what that would look like as well.
Yeah,
I mean, it's bright. I'm telling you, I was going blind comparing the U8G HDR gaming.
Yeah, it's hard to review gaming on these kind of TVs without like you're getting a headache. You almost always get a headache. I have to turn it down, but you can't turn the brightness down, because then you don't know what you're missing as a reviewer. So you kind of have to leave it like boom. I just have to deal with it, or turn the lights on so your eyes get used to it around you. Wow, I just looked at Lowe's. I had no idea they sold TVs, but apparently they offer 84 months, no interest, or 5% off with a credit card. Not that I'm telling anyone to go into debt. Yeah.
No interest, dude. No interest. That's not really debt, right?
That's as long as you pay it off in 7 years, you got 7 years to pay that sucker off. The problem with
84 months, no interest.
Yeah, or 5% off with their credit card. You probably get both. You probably get the 84 months and 5% off. If you're going to get their credit card, or I guess those are the 2 deals. Either you pay it now and you take the interest, or you pay it off and you get the 5% off. So either way, it's a good deal. I'm a little bit preferential to like Best Buy because I am Elite Plus. I do buy a ton of stuff there. So I get treated with kid gloves there, and I appreciate all the people there. I pull up with something, they help me out. So, big box stores aren't all the same. They're not always that way. I mean, a lot of people in the stores don't specialize in product knowledge as much as they could, but some people do. And you just got to obviously go into a store, you find someone that you can talk to. But that's a pretty good deal. Appreciate that, Christopher.
Agreed.
That's good for all the people watching. We got Dave Whelan. Wow, did I say
Dave.
it right that time? Whelan. I think I said it right. I don't know. I use AVR for my devices with one HDMI cable going to the eARC port with Sony. Manually change 4K 120 to Dolby Vision each time I watch Blu-ray. Is the C1 better for use with the AVR? I know the answer to this. What do you think?
Yeah, you're gonna have to switch for enhanced mode, either 4K 60 Dolby Vision or 4K 120, and you get the gaming at 4K 120. I don't know what Sony was thinking. I think that was their workaround, and they still haven't figured it out. So
yeah,
it's an inconvenience.
It definitely is, especially in this kind of a situation right here, because the C1 is like lickety split. That all the LG OLEDs have always been just so great at just like popping in and out of different modes. So I appreciate that, Dave. I hope that helps. Dave, what TV do you have? Let me know. You said you have with Sony, but I'm not sure. I think he told us one time what TV he got, but maybe he's having a bit of FOMO now that he has that issue.
Darn these live streams.
Charles, we got what's going on with VRR and Sony, which is what we just talked about. I purchased the A90J and I didn't know the backstory of the X900. How could Sony advertise a feature and not provide it? And you know what? That's a good question. And Stop the FOMO has answered some of these before. And we've even had some like war of the words with other people about it. But I think it's fair to say, how can they keep doing this with the little like number 1, 2, 3, 4 as like your little reference them at the bottom? You know what I mean? Like all the things to come.
I'll tell you exactly how they do it, because I work with this all the time when you're in product. So marketing wants to put all the abbreviations, VRR, ALLM, everything, right? Dolby Vision. And so they talk to engineering. Hey, are you guys going to get this? And engineering hasn't finished their whatever it is they have to do on the spec sheet, right? To make sure it all works. So they're going to say, oh yeah, it can't be that hard, because they were promised that this would work with their chip, blah, blah, blah. Turns out marketing ran away with it because they're in charge of putting the websites and all the material, but engineering obviously never finished their due diligence or whatever it is they need to do to verify how long it would take to implement it. And now that it comes out, it's either taking more money than we expect or a lot harder than we expect. They can't go back and tell marketing to just erase it with a whiteout. And it happens all the time. You guys see it on so many products, except because gamers are a very, how do you describe them? A very enthusiastic group. Man, if you're telling them it has VRR and it doesn't have it, they're going to come after you with pitchforks. And that's what Sony didn't expect. So that's why.
It's great. That's a great explanation. I appreciate that. It's definitely interesting. I have the A90J. The PS5, does it not have VRR working either? The PS5?
PS5 doesn't have VRR either. Now, there is word out that the PS5 and the Sony X900H and the 2021 Sonys, they have a special little link that feels like there's a VRR working, but they can't advertise it as VRR because it's technically not HDMI from VRR in that way. So if you have a Sony TV, X900H or 2021, and you have a PS5, it looks great regardless of whether there's VRR. You're still not going to get stuttering. That's kind of like the position that many Sony retailers, and Brian, Whisper Status, he verified. He says, yeah, it looks great. It looks as if there's VRR. So
yeah, well, that's good to know, because that was the weird thing. Like the PS5 comes out, one TV, besides the the Master Series LED TV or whatever, has 4K at 120, but really it doesn't. And then it's been like this mess for the last 6 months. I've been fielding questions on it. Patrick Noble asks, are either one of us going to get the U9DG dual cell for review? Are you going to get that Hisense?
Yes, I am. I right when I got the U8G, I said, hey, you got to send me the dual cell. I'll make room for the 75-inch because it's dual cell. We need to know how close it gets to OLED, if at all. Because let's face it, for $3,500, this is no longer that, hey, it's a great budget. Like the U8G, it's $1,300, right? Even if some people might be off in their reviews, good or bad. You're not going to find anything for $1,500 that comes close to that. The question is whether it's better than the Q90 at twice the price. But the dual cell is $3,500, and now the 2021 OLEDs are $3,500. I can't say you should get this unless it actually beats the OLED heads up with no compromises. So yeah, it's important that we know.
It's going to be interesting to see that kind of stuff. This is our favorite name to try. I'm just going to say Grius, $2. 50-inch QN90A lose any brightness or quality. Is it going to suffer for being a little smaller? I don't.
Well, okay. So here's the problem with Samsung. Yeah, Samsung has not done a good job with the 50 inches. They cut back on gaming features. They cut back even on the refresh rate. So I don't know if the US is selling it yet or the specs are out. I have to check the specs. But the two things you need to look for when you go to their website, is it a native 120 hertz? Does it have the full HDMI 2.1 and 4K 120? Because for some reason they don't think the 50-inch is a gaming featured size, but that's the one that people really want for gaming. So last year with the Q80T, they totally screwed over everyone that got the smaller size. So I'll have to double check the Q90A this year.
That's funny. I didn't even know they had a 50-inch Q80T.
I didn't either.
Yeah. Cyborg 100. What do you guys do with your old TVs after finishing reviewing them? Send them back to the manufacturer, keep them, or autograph them and sell them on eBay? That's pretty funny. The funny thing is, sometimes I return. I've only been doing reviews for like what now? About a year, not even a year. I've been doing reviews for about 9 months. So my initial thoughts were I would review a TV and keep it. The problem is once you start reviewing TVs, you start to get a little picky. And then you're like, people are asking you to review other things. So I have to admit, I've taken a few TVs back before. Most of the time, it's because they didn't have something I liked. I will admit that I've been a bit picky with the LED TVs in that I kind of ran through a few different LED TVs trying to get to one I liked. And then I had a broken H9G. So then I sent the H9G back. That was one of the first ones I had reviewed. But then I finally got the H9G back. It's sitting next to me. But the problem is I am starting to collect dust. I have TVs everywhere, dude. I actually was trying to put up the A80J on a bench to do some footage, and I had to put the mirror up above it or move the mirror. And I remembered when I moved the mirror that there was an A8H sitting behind it. So I had a TV behind a mirror. That's how bad it's getting.
Oh.
So I have TVs everywhere. So I don't know, but what about you? I mean, you got a studio there. How's that look? How's it for you?
So I still got to make room for the new ones, right? So
yeah,
like you, I mount all my TVs, but I mount it on a mobile mouse. I can push it around or whatever because I have enough room to push them around.
Idea.
But I'm running out of mounting space, and the TVs that I buy, I hold on to them as long as they're still relevant, right? So. But then after I'm done with it, so I'll never sell it only because unless I can stand behind it, I feel bad because they're going to come back to me. Hey, man, this thing doesn't work anymore, blah, blah, blah. Like the most recent one I sold was the Vizio OLED only because it has the Geek Squad warranty. And I was able to pass that on to the buyer. Say, look, any problems, Geek Squad, here it is. It's yours. And I felt good about that. But all the other TVs that I've bought and no longer have, the H9F, the H9G, I just give it away. Now, when I'm lent a TV for review, I definitely call them and say, hey, take it back. Like this U8G. After 6 months, I'm done. I don't want to hold on to it. So they're going to have someone pick it up and take it back. And the TCL R635, I still have that 55-inch. I need to call TCL. Hey, can you guys pick this up or swap it out for something in 2021? So yeah, that's what I do.
And that's another goal too. Obviously, we want to have relationships with the companies. I don't even want to do any paid reviews. I just want to, have a relationship so I can get a good product and then review it and then just say, here you go, take it back because of just so much room. But I actually have, some plans on doing some of these live streams more, further on in this year. And as I get more TVs and more opportunities, I may be giving some of these TVs away on live stream. So definitely stay tuned, subscribe, make sure you're in on this because I do have a lot of TVs and it's to the point where I've said it a couple times that I'll give away these TVs, but now it's to the point where I have way too many and I have to. I just literally have no room for these. So so I'm going to be, giving some away. You know, if I can sell some at a discount, I would sell it, but I would tell the people, you know, for the most part, I take a great care, except for the A80J where I dropped it, you know, on its face.
You saw that.
I take, I take pretty good care of my TVs. Here's Magician AV. Thanks for the coffee cup back. My wife stole his coffee. My wife thought it was my coffee cup. It looked identical. She threw it in the dishwasher, and then he left without his coffee cup. So I washed it for him and set it outside when I left today. So appreciate the help on the calibrations. I told everyone, I think if he just joined, that the A90J was the most accurate out of the box, or, you know, from the factory. The A80J was second, the C1 was third, and the G1 was the least accurate out of the box. Overall, they looked great after he took care of them, and we did some chatting. And I'll have he's going to be on some of the videos. I have got some footage, so we'll roll that out in the OLED challenge. There we go. Thank you. I was thinking maybe to save money on the 77-inch over the 83-inch OLED, hoping it's for a better UST in 1 to 2 years. So I have a 77 and a 120-inch. Any hope for UST?
Ultra short throw projector.
Yeah, I was like wondering what that meant. I didn't even know. Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. But again, I think with any of those, you have to have a really dark room, and you also have to have a great screen. So it's not just the product itself, but yeah, I mean,
and the thing that just projectors in general, their argument is you're not going for the perfect HDR. It's a completely different viewing experience. It's not going to get the same peak specular highlights, and a lot of people don't like the peak specular highlights. So UST is great, but keep in mind, if you had an 83 OLED and you go to UST, you'll be like, what happened to my peak specular highlights? So it depends on what your sentiment is about that level of brightness. If you like it, I don't know if ultra short throw is bright enough for you.
Yeah, and I've stayed away from those. I know one of the guys I talked to, a good guy, Jolster 4K, does some short throw. Check out his channel. He's doing some reviews right now. It's been a minute since I chatted with him, but I check out his video. So you know, I like to make sure people go and check out the different creators that make the different things. I talk, you know, Jonah Mathis, another friend of mine who does soundbar comparisons. People ask me about soundbar comparisons. You know, I don't have any in-house to recommend to people, so I always refer them to the people that do. And so that's why we try to build a community of people here that have some different knowledge and different ways of looking at things, and that's kind of how it rolls. We got an OD0 question here. I'm going to hold off and wait for it. Rumor TCL will not use Roku for their smart platform. I hope it launches in August or September. Do you know about that? Are they going to be Android for the OD0?
I'm hoping it's Google TV instead of Android. And the only issue I have with Android, and hopefully they figure it out, is if you're not logged into an Android account, they're going to keep asking you to log in. So that's my really only issue. I normally plug in an external device anyway if it's streaming or something else, because the internal apps don't always have the best video quality or bandwidth. So yeah, I'd wait for the 85-inch TCL just out of curiosity. How much is it going to be? Because it'll be directly competing with a QN900A. Rumor is specs are very similar. So you might be getting a discounted QN90A without the Tizen if you're going the OD0. Or QN900A, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And the other thing is, I've been having some, you know, Roku's been having some fights lately. They took off the Spectrum app. They got into it with Charter and Spectrum, and now they're having some issues with Google. They're claiming that Google's trying to hold them over a barrel. So, you know, the problem for Roku is if they lose, you know, the YouTube TV app and you lose the Spectrum app, you're losing a lot of your, you know, a lot of the people need it for that reason. They already have a thing on the Spectrum app that says when I turned the TCL TV on, it said, do not delete the Spectrum app. It had it on the TV, but it said, don't delete it. Because if you delete it, you can't get it back. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. That's the world we're living in today, right? Yeah, that's crazy.
And so I'm starting to sour on the Roku TV for that reason. I like TCL products. I think they should move toward the Google TV. Now with the Google TV, my A90J keeps kicking me out of Netflix. So I was, Nujishu was trying to show me some content after we calibrated, and he saw it too. It booted me right out. You go into Netflix, you try to mess around, and all of a sudden it kicks you to the home screen. So they got some things to work out on the Google system too, which from what I've read, it's similar to the Android TV. It just has like a little bit more search function on the home screen. It's done just a little bit differently. So it could be good to wait for that OD0. Would you give a Bear fans a TV? I you know what? I don't. The good thing about I'm not a fair weather fan when it comes to the Packers. I'm from Wisconsin. I've always loved the Packers, but I'm a Yankee fan. I was a Laker fan with Kobe. You know, I'm a fan of teams and players. And so I don't have a problem rooting for certain teams that I feel are great. I've been a big Steph Curry fan, so I wear Warriors clothes because I love Steph Curry and I love the Splash Brothers. But yet I was a long-term Laker fan with Kobe. I'm not so much a Laker fan with LeBron, not because I'm a LeBron hater, just, the way they built the team, didn't jive with me. So, this year I'm looking at the Nets. I think the Nets could be crazy. I'm a huge Kevin Durant fan. So there you go. But yeah, I'd give it to Bears fan. Bears fans typically don't like Packer fans as much. Packer fans aren't. We've been winning games mostly against the Bears, so I feel bad. So maybe this will be the year if you have Justin Fields out there and we don't have Aaron Rodgers. Maybe the Bears will show us up. So, but definitely appreciate everyone on the chat. And like I said, stick around in these chats because when we do them more toward the summer, going to be trying to figure out when I can or how I can give away a TV. And they said, I see another one. What about a Bears fan in UK? I don't think I'd be able to ship a TV to the UK without some repercussions. So that might be a little tough.
It's going to cost more in shipping than the value of the TV. That's the problem.
Yeah. I'd rather do a promo where I just buy the TV from UK and like have them deliver it. That'd be cheaper.
That would be cheaper.
Because then you get a brand new TV. Is the Sony X90J as bright as the Z8H? I wouldn't imagine so. What do you think?
No, not even close. Right? Yeah. The Z8H is close to 2,000 nits, if not just above 2,000 nits. The X90J is definitely under 1,000 nits. So you're talking completely different tiers. Z8H is so expensive. That was their best TV last year. Yeah. Can't even compare the two.
Yeah, and also the Z8H is going to be it's going to be Master Series, right? You're talking like high end.
Z9J this year, yeah. The Z8H wasn't a Master Series technically, but it was.
It was one of those 8H situations.
Right. It's their 8K super large TV, and then the X90J is like their mid-tier 4K TV. Completely different worlds.
We got a super chat from MyRyan99. I'm just trying to see if there was a question. Oh, now I've screwed up my screen here. Sometimes I have a hard time finding those. MyRyan99. Well, ask it again if you can. I appreciate the super chat. I'm trying to look for. Oh, there we go. We got one down here. Let's
Found him.
Which TV will upgrade the crappy local channels? Sunday afternoon football games, all that. I hate the fuzziness, blurriness, the guys in the field. Yeah, that's tough, man.
Can't. If it was the garbage in, garbage out, if they're giving you 720p, you can't add information that's not there. Yeah, I don't see.
You know what I would say? Like, I've had some success. This is what I would recommend to people that have cable. You can get your cable boxes if they're not in good quality. You can get something like an Apple TV that has like Dolby Vision. It has a Dolby Vision system, and like the Spectrum app that I have is really good quality. So it looks a lot better. Like it's on HD, Fox, everything. It looks good. So, you can mess around with the devices you use, or, talk to your cable company and see if they have a better box that outputs in a higher resolution. But a lot of the cable boxes still output in pretty poor, like 1080 quality. And that's like the best it gets. So, but if you can get, at least HD quality, and you basically, that's what I'm trying to say is you got to get it. You got to get HD quality and just and try to change devices as opposed to worrying about whether or not Fox or CBS can look good. Normally, it's your input device that you can change and maybe make it look a little better. So
or ATSC 3.0.
Yeah, there you
if
go.
your TV has it, and I think the Sony's this year, the X90J and above has the ATSC 3.0. Boom. You should be getting much better resolution if you live in a part of town that has ATSC 3.0. Then yeah. Oh, hey, look at that.
Yeah, right. I know. That's why I popped it up because it's like Christopher's asking us anyway.
Yeah.
Any idea when local broadcasters will start? I mean, I had a map in
Absolutely.
mine. I had a map
Yeah,
in my G1 video. There was a map where
there's a
they're,
map.
they have them going right now. I don't
Yes.
know what specific channels they're providing in the US anyways, but I know that it's rolling out currently.
Yes. Las
Yeah.
Vegas, I know for sure. LA County is supposed to be by the end of this year. So yeah, go on the map and there you go.
And if people don't know what the ATSC 3.0 tuner is, some of the TVs, Sony TVs have it for the most part, right?
Yep.
I don't think much Samsung has it, do they?
Nothing on the Samsung, if you could believe it, and only the G1 and the G10 last year had it. That's
on
it.
the LG. So only the
Yes.
G series on the LGs, but Sony has it, and a lot of people in Europe have asked me about that. It's a big feature, and I think that feature will get better and better. So if you can add that on something like a reason for you getting like the A80J from Sony versus the C1, if you're not a big gamer or you don't need the VRR, things like that, and you want a better picture quality, which I think may be better. I think it's pretty darn close between the C1 and the A80J, but the tuner may be one of those things that can help you out there.
Yep.
Just got a 65-inch C1 for my dark room, mainly for gaming, YouTube, and Netflix. Living room TV went out, and it's really bright. Would a U8G be a great fit?
Off. You couldn't get a brighter TV without paying more than $2,000. How's that? And even then, it's not that much brighter. The U8G definitely will get bright enough, and to me, it's as bright as the Q90R, and that's still one of my favorite TVs. I still watch it. Yeah. Now the U8G is supposed to have slightly better reflections as well, better than the H9G. So definitely recommended for a bright room.
Yeah, I'll probably wrap up here pretty quick, I suppose, right? We gotta get going. I'm gonna
Call,
try
buddy.
I'll get through this last couple of questions. If you guys have any other questions, let us know real quick before I let Mr. FOMO go here. We got things to do. And let me know if you guys think this was a good idea to go a little earlier on this. I wanted to get a little earlier, see if we can get some more people here. But if the later time works for people, I'm always happy to make it work for everybody. So Canada Dave, thanks for both of you for all the current and relevant information you provide. Much appreciated. Looking forward to the Hisense reviews. Yeah, I think we know who the Hisense master is, and it's Stop the FOMO. So you guys know
I'm their number one fan, and many people are. They just put out a good TV for a good price, right? I mean, the H9G, $1,000, still a great buy, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely was a great TV, and I like the TCL 635 was a pretty good competitor too. So that's why the XL85 was just tough to evaluate in the similar sense. It was not mini LED. It was massive TV. It was bright, but it was difficult to like really compare it to anything, and that's fine. It was just a really big ass TV.
Yeah.
Let me get through this. Couple more questions real quick. Here we go. You should come over to the UK and meet up with Vincent. That's pretty funny. The UK TV show, the ATS3 only in America, as we think of. We have what is that? The DVB-T2 in the UK.
Is that it?
Is it a different name over there?
News to me. I don't know.
I'm not really sure.
I'm thought so non-Euro.
I thought a lot of the people that had communicated to me that it was a feature that they needed was a European group. But if it isn't, that's my apologies. I'm not really in the know on that. I will start getting, more up to date on that tuner because it's something that I am interested in. And, here we go. Do the new 2021 TVs with that tuner need an external tuner? I hate adding those ugly, bulky antennas.
No. So you still have to add an antenna, don't you? I mean, it will tune, but don't you still have to have an antenna to bring in the signal?
Yeah, I'm not sure. See,
right?
I think you're hitting on something that neither one of us know. That's a little bit abnormal. But I don't know. A lot of them you have like the leaf antennas you can hide behind the TV. I'm not sure if that's going to be beneficial. All I know is you don't need the hardware. A lot of the TVs are going to need an entire box to connect to it to get the same sort of signal. So I think you probably would need an antenna to get the signal in a certain manner. Sometimes you can get signal without having an antenna or a minimal antenna. Sometimes if you're out in the boonies, you need a bigger one. That's a good question, Jason. I will find out. I'll try to find you if I get a answer on that and message you offline because I appreciate the question stumping both of us. It's pretty good. Sammy 10,001. I like the name. The Q90A 50-inch versus the LG C1 48-inch for PC monitor HDR gaming. What do you think about that? That's a pretty tough one.
Well, when I hear PC monitor, I always think burn-in only because you have your Windows OS opened up. You got your icons and persistent images. So if you're using it for gaming, that's one thing. If you're using it as a PC monitor for PC, that's something else. So if it's only gaming, I think it's okay as long as you don't game on those games that have a reputation for burn-in, like FIFA, right, with their persistent scoreboards and stuff. The Q90A, I cannot recommend or not recommend because I honestly don't know if it has all the gaming features of the larger sizes. But if it does, I think either one is fine for gaming, because now I haven't PC gamed on the Q90A though, so let me hold back on that. But Series X was great on the Q90A.
Cool. Well, I think that's about all the comments we have. What do you got going on this weekend? What's your next video going to be about, or what's the current one you have?
Speaking of gaming, so I'm definitely going to go through the settings, all the various movie settings and picture settings for the U8G, what's most accurate, and then demonstrate the differences between the U8G and the Q90A, exactly where Samsung's extra viewing angle, how it made things a little bit different, better or worse to some of you, and then some gaming footage of the Q90A versus the U8G, so you can see the difference. When I say bright, what does that really mean, right? Oh, and then a quick shout out to Keep It Classy Tech. He wants to go on a live stream with me. We're going to put something on maybe a couple Saturdays from now if you're free. We're going to focus on settings for those of you who don't calibrate, and neither Brandon or I are setting experts by all means, but Keep It Classy is. All he does is live and breathe calibrations and settings for all the various OLEDs. And right now, a lot of people are having a lot of confusion about what's the best setting for SDR and HDR or whatever. So let's see how popular the live stream focused on helping you get your TV to its best setting will be. So that's what Keep It Classy Tech has in store for us a couple of Saturdays from now.
Yeah, and I got him right on here with this. My unboxing of the A80J saved him from his 77-inch falling. Yeah, just so people know that there's a significant weight difference between the A80J and the C1. The C1 has the heavy stand, and it's kind of positioned in the box, so it kind of doesn't make it so front heavy. But that A80J is extremely front heavy, and that's why it tipped on me. I had the 65-inch, but when I lifted that top off, it just immediately tipped over. Like, it was all in the front. So they have that a little bit too close to the front, and they don't have it as packaged quite as well as the A90J. So yeah, definitely, I'm glad it helped you, because man, that freaked me out. I'm glad mine didn't break, because I really like that TV, and I'm glad that I can do a video on it to show you guys the differences between the C1 and the A80J this weekend. So check that out on Saturday. You know, if you want to have a little fun, check out my TCL XL series video that I had an opportunity to do. Just posted this morning, and that's on. So go ahead and hit that up. And I want to thank everyone in the crowd out here, the viewers. Appreciate it. We got 450 people watching right now. Thank you very much.
Banging.
And thank you to Stop the FOMO for stopping in with me.
Always my pleasure. Shout out to TCL and their 85-inch. Never seen something that large from TCL before.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Quite the experience, man. Go big or go home, man. That's what I put on my thing. Go big or go home. All right, everybody. Right. Have a great afternoon. Have a great evening.
Thanks all.
All right. Thanks.